Hey everybody, Michael McWhorter from Mojo Musical Supply here. Thanks for watching the first video, and thanks for your questions. Thought I'd go through this list real quick, answer a couple questions. We'll go out to the warehouse and maybe in manufacturing, and I can answer some of these questions. But first question was, when were you guys established? So we were established in the year 2000. Originally, this was a small mail order catalog company in Petaluma, California. That just sold replacement parts for vintage amps, really specific. And the owner out there was going bankrupt. He had spent too much money and didn't make enough money. And I have a business partner named Andy, and Andy and I worked out a deal with this old owner to buy all of his assets from California and move it back to North Carolina. And our original plan was to surplus everything out. So this was right when eBay had started, late 90s. And our plan was to bring it all back. I was actually on my way to med school and had some time in between applying to med school and going to med school, and kind of jumped in as this, as a little fun side project. And our plan, again, was to sell everything off, and we started selling it. And really just kind of rolled into a business, and I decided not to go to med school and wanted to pursue this because I had a passion for music, and this running the business was really fun for me. And so decided to bag med school, and Andy and I partnered up and started the business that way. So we are in Burgall. We are on a road called Worth Beverage Drive. Worth Beverage was the old mayor of Burgall, apparently. I didn't know him, but so we're right around where American Skin is, if you know where that is, or Wilmington Box, right around there. So about a half a mile from the courthouse or the town square. All right, so next question is, what college degree did you need to get the job? So I went to Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, and I got a biology degree. Would have been much better off with a business degree or accounting degree, but I like science, and medical school was my plan B. My plan A was to be a rock star. I played in a band all the way through college, and got out of college and did it full time for 4 years after. Didn't make it as a rock star, so I was going to go to medical school and use that biology degree, and then sidetracked into this business and started this, and decided I would have much more fun running a music business than going to medical school. So let's see, next question is, how do you come into contact with people around the world? So great question. The internet. I'm sure you all have all heard of the World Wide Web. So most of our sales are done online. We really started out, in 2000, was really pre-e-commerce. There were, people used email, and the internet existed then, but no one was really buying stuff. How crazy does that seem now? Nobody was buying things on the internet in 2000. So we had kind of an informational website, but that was it. But nowadays, most of our sales are done online. We sell retail to direct to consumer at retail prices, and then we sell wholesale to other businesses. And wholesale, if you're not familiar with that, so there's the retail price, and then there's the wholesale price. And wholesale price would be a music store would buy, say, a speaker for $40 at the wholesale price, and then they would retail it. They would sell it to a consumer walking in their store for, say, $80. And so we sell retail and wholesale goes to music stores and repair shops, also manufacturers, so companies that make guitars, companies that make guitar amps, guitar pickups, all sorts of different things. To get a wholesale license with us, you have to have a business, and so you have to prove that you have a business and you're buying the stuff from us in order to resell it and make a profit. All right, here we are in the Mojo warehouse. We had one question, how many orders do we ship in a day? So I thought it'd be fun to come down here. This is our order line. So we are pulling and packing orders all day long. So we've got inventory of probably 8,000 different items here. Each item has a rack row bin number, so we know exactly where it is. Here's kind of an example order. Comes in, we'll highlight, special things, special instructions, and then an order picker will come through and pull each item quantity and rack row bin number. And then it goes over here to Griselda, and she will check everything to make sure it's all right, all the parts and pieces. And then we'll put it in a box. Griselda will put it in a box, and it goes down the line, and then we generate a UPS or USPS or FedEx label and put it on a cart, and the UPS guy or FedEx guy or mail truck comes every day, and they pick up everything and deliver it to the world. Got another question of what's the most product sold. So that's a great question. We sell a lot of little tiny things like resistors, capacitors, potentiometers, small electronic parts and pieces. So as far as quantity, it's probably one of those small items. We also sell screws, hardware for cabinets, and we've got some companies will buy thousands of screws at one time, or even thousands of resistors, stuff like that. Also wire. We sell a ton of different types of wire. So as far as quantity, that's probably the most that we sell. Let's go over to our amp kit land, and I can talk to you about that real quick. All right, so here we are. This is our amp kit assembly area in our warehouse. Somebody asked a question, what's the most expensive product you sell? And it's probably one of our amp kits. So we've got 30 different guitar amp kits. And these are amps that were famous from the 50s and 60s. We do an exact reproduction kit that you can put together of all of those famous amplifiers. So you can see we've got different kit boxes. All these boxes are filled with all the different parts, all the electrical items, and they all go in a metal, what we call a metal chassis. If I can find a chassis. Yeah, here we go. Metal chassis that all these kits go into. So we've got folks that will buy these, they'll assemble everything, put it together, and then this box has all the controls on it, and they'll install this into a cabinet and play some rock and roll. Here we are in our wood shop. Got a question of how long does it take to finish a guitar amp cabinet? Here's an example of a guitar amp cabinet that's going to a company called Sir Guitars in California. It usually takes us, really the fastest part is building the wood box. And we could build, this particular cabinet probably takes, about an hour and a half in the wood shop. Of going through all the different steps of putting the box together and sanding and rounding the corners, all that stuff. The hardest part is what you see behind me, which is the amp covering. So all the folks back here it's really an artistry to be able to put the vinyl on the wood. And so we'll put glue on the wood, and we'll put glue on the back of the vinyl. And there's different configurations of wrapping a cabinet, but it really, of all the jobs here, this is probably the hardest and takes the longest to learn, just because it's got to be exact. You really got to pay attention to all the little tiny details. And a lot of these amps, this one in particular, that brown cabinet that I just held up, is I think it sells for $2,300. So you can imagine a customer that's buying a $2,300 amplifier is going to look at every single inch and doesn't want to see any kind of imperfections anywhere. So that's why these folks behind me they take a while to do it, and it's got to be exact. Hey everybody, we're in our amp manufacturing area right now. Got a question of how long does it take to build an amp? So I hope you can see this in the frame right here. So this is a guitar amplifier being manufactured right now. To assemble all of these electronics in the amp probably takes, for this particular amp, it's probably a 6-hour job. Then the amp chassis, which again is what we call the metal box that all the electronics go into, will be installed into a cabinet with a speaker, and then we'll test. We probably test each amp for 15 to 30 minutes each, just to make sure there's no weird things going on, no buzzes or hums, and actually make sure the amp works and sounds good. And then we'll package it up and ship it out the door. All right, this is our storeroom. Had a question of what's the rarest item you have. And I would probably say it's one of these old Marshall amps. So these are amps that were made, they're British amps made in the 60s. As you can imagine, we have a lot of, because we kind of deal in reproduction vintage electronics, we have a lot of old samples that we use to figure out exactly how they were built, look at all the parts and pieces, remanufacture the cabinets, and all the parts we can to make it make what we sell as exact as possible to the real original thing. So these are probably the rarest thing that we have here. A few more questions here. Let's see, can people bring their current electronics to be repaired? Unfortunately, no, we really don't do a whole lot of repairs for just the general public. We do occasionally we'll get amps from artists. So we'll repair stuff for famous people. We've done a lot of stuff for all the country guys, Brad Paisley, Keith Urban. We actually had all of Jack White's amps, all of his tour rig in here a couple years ago. So that was fun to work on. ZZ Top, if you're familiar with those guys, two old guys with the beards, had all their stuff in here. And so we'll do big repairs like that for touring acts that need really kind of specialized work done. Let's see, final question, what are all the companies you're paired with? Good question. I'm not sure if you mean brands, but brands, we do a lot of work with Fender. A lot of you may know Fender guitars, Gibson guitars. We make a lot of